Okay, so here we are. Now all the strings are off the guitar, and I give it a nice clean with my lovely Gibson cloth, which I got with the guitar, which is really good for just getting all those little specks of dust off the top, which I must say, getting a black guitar like this one, I've never had such an issue with trying to keep a guitar clean, because fingerprints and any little speck of dust shows up so much on this shiny black guitar. Just a word of warning for anyone thinking of getting a black Gibson SG, or any guitar for that matter, is that you will be constantly cleaning it. But anyway, once you're done with that, it's time to grab your strings. These are mine. Don't judge me too harshly for using Ernie Ball 9s. These are the strings that I've always used, so I'm really used to them. So anyway, you grab your strings, and I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this who already know how to restring a guitar. So if you've got a pretty good way of doing it yourself, then you probably don't really need to watch this video. This is mainly for people who are new to restringing these style guitars, or maybe just restringing a guitar in general. Because what I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure will apply for a guitar with a headstock which has got all 6 tuners in a row, not just the 3x3. But this is what I do anyway for restringing this style of guitar, and this is what I've done since I got this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the first string. Now I just need to put the bridge back on, because like with these guitars, the bridge and the tailpiece both come off, which I think is really handy because you can actually clean underneath it, which is really important, because that's another place that dirt and dust likes to collect. Anyway, here's my string. It's through the bridge now, and through the tailpiece and going over the bridge. But what I would do normally, before looking up how to do this, would be pretty much what everybody does, which is just to put the string through the peg and then slacken it off a little bit and then just wind it round, which is the traditional way of doing it, which is how I've restrung every single guitar before this one. Even my Fender with the locking tuners, which is just a little bit easy with the Fender with locking tuners, because you can basically pull the string completely tight like that. You just tighten up the locking tuner at the back and tune it up. You don't need to get enough winds or anything like that. You don't need to sort of bring it back and then make sure it goes around enough times, or all of that stuff. You can literally just put it through the peg, tighten it and tune it, which is really good. That's why those are great. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the string through the peg, and I'm going to basically lock the string amongst itself, because these tuners are Grover tuners on this SG, but they're not locking tuners. They are just bog standard, everyday, normal tuners. They're very good, but they don't lock. And in this day and age, locking tuners for me are quite an important thing, but I haven't got around to getting any for this guitar. I might not even bother, because like I said, it's pretty good to start with the tuning issue. And I think it's greatly helped by how I put the strings on the guitar, because I'm locking the string on itself onto the peg. So there's a very slim chance that this string is going to slip on the peg at all whilst I'm playing. So anyway, I'll show you what I do. I'm going to put the string, first of all, make sure that the hole is in line with the slot on the nut. Then I'm going to put the string through the peg like normal. My tailpiece keeps falling off. That's probably the most annoying thing about doing this, is whilst you've not got any strings holding tension on it, the tailpiece will keep falling off. So anyway, that's what you would do normally. You'd sort of pull it back a little bit and then wind it around and make sure that you've got enough winds, which is what we're going to do. But I'm going to do something a little bit more interesting. So the string is in its slot there, and I've pulled it tight. But what I want to do is I want to grab the string where it is there. I'm going to pull it back a little bit, like that, probably about just over an inch, maybe, or maybe a bit more. And I'm going to physically, with my hands, not the winder, I'm going to wrap the string around the peg clockwise, like that. I'm going to lift this up a little bit. So now I've physically wrapped the string around the peg clockwise, in a clockwise direction. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically wrap it round the string, going anti-clockwise over the top of the wind that I've just done. So just to recap that, I put the string through the peg, pulled it back a little bit, and I physically, with my hands, wrapped it around the string from this part, the bit between the nut and the peg. I wrapped that around the peg clockwise, pulled it tight, and now with this part here, I'm winding the string counterclockwise, so it's wrapping around counterclockwise over the top of the wind that I've just done with my hand. So now basically I can tune this up, and you can already see don't know if you can see this part here. If not, I will get a zoom in on it later, or get a close up. But the string is literally trapped in the middle of itself there. There's two winds, there's a wind on the top, a wind on the bottom, and the string is now in the middle of the wind there. So now I'm just going to tune it up, and already it's pretty much getting pretty taut now. Now, I'm not a human tuner, but I'm going to assume that this is roughly an E. But that's what I did for that string, and that's what I'm going to do for all the other strings on this guitar. So grab the next one, and we're going to do the same thing again. So again, get the hole in line with the slot on the nut, put the string through, pull it tight, just make sure it's obviously in the groove on the bridge as well. And now the space between the nut here and the peg, this part of the string here, that's what I'm going to wrap around the peg clockwise. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit, clockwise, wrap it around the peg. Pull this part up just to sort of hold it in, and now wrap it around anti-clockwise over itself. Also, this would be a lot better if I actually had a nice guitar rest for my headstock, as opposed to just using an old tuner, a Boss tuner box. But there we go. Two down, four to go. Through the peg, get a clockwise wrap, push it up, counterclockwise wrap around the peg. There we go. Now, here, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit trickier because now we're going the opposite way. But we basically are doing the same thing. So again, make sure that your hole is in line as much as possible with the nut. So now everything that we've done so far is going to be exactly the same, but we're on the opposite side of the guitar. So we kind of just need to flip everything round. So what I'm going to do now is, it's always on the outside of the headstock that you want to do the first initial wrap, the one that you do by hand, and then do the other ones, basically go the opposite way when you use the winder on the machine head. So we're through the thing there. Now I'm going to bring it back a little bit and then go round the peg from the outside that way, bring it up there, and I might need to swap hands. I'm not very good with my left hand. Cool, so that one's roughly on. Now just two more. It's pretty tricky to do this. Like normally I wouldn't actually do this on a flat bench. I would do this with the guitar on the floor. So I would actually be physically on the other side of the guitar, which would make this part really easy. So it's a little bit strange doing the opposite side of the headstock from this side of the guitar, but it's just for the sake of this video. There we go, all done. So there we go, that's how I restring my Gibson SG guitar and how I've always done it since I got this guitar. Haven't tried it any other way, so if anybody knows any other ways slightly different to what I did today, then feel free to comment below how you restring yours. Obviously, other things that you could do to improve the tuning stability is to get locking tuners. As I said, this one doesn't. I don't know if you can see the tuners on the back here. Hopefully that's in focus, but these are just normal tuners. They don't lock. Usually there's like a turny, twisty thing on the back which clamps the string into the peg, so you don't really have to do what I've done today. You can just put the string through the peg, lock it and tune it. But obviously these aren't locking, so this is why I do this and this is why I've done it this way. Hopefully this video has been helpful to anybody who's maybe got a Gibson style guitar and struggling with tuning issues. If you've never tried this before, then just give it a try, as opposed to normally just putting your string through the peg and winding it round without locking it amongst itself, because I genuinely think that having it locked into itself on the peg really helps keep the tuning a bit more stable. Like I said, I used to have a Gibson SG replica, a really cheap version, which pretty much had the same headstock design. Even the angle was pretty much the same, and probably the tuning pegs here were kind of staggered like this one, and that didn't hold tuning great. And maybe that's why. It's because I didn't do this. I didn't restring it this way. I just do it the normal way of doing it. So that's what I've done on this guitar, and that's what I'm going to continue to do on this guitar. Unless anybody's got like a better idea, let me know. But yeah, if you liked the video, if it helped you out, then please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment. Let me know if you're going to try this. Let me know if you've already been doing this or any other ways, anything like that. But if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.